Captain, let's talk. Hey, got a favor to ask you. Figure while we're out here in the wilderness anyhow, we might stop in on an old friend of mine. Preferably before we get to Hiram's. It's on the way, don't worry. You don't seem the type to run off and get yourself killed, and I could use the help. Well, we'll see about that. I'll be upfront with you. I hate asking for help. I hate it. Every time I give someone the opportunity to disappoint me, they seem to make it their most immediate goal. But this, what I'm thinking, it's dangerous. Really? Here I was steeling myself for inevitable rejection. I used to run with a band of hunters. Friends. 6 of us. We were on Monarch when the corporations pulled out, and we helped a lot of people pick up the pieces. I haven't seen 2 of them in years, and the rest I know to be dead. I'd like to gather their effects and bury them all in the same places, like the family we once were. I saw it happen. Hell, one of them was in my arms at the time. His name was Hayes, and he's our first stop. I buried him a ways from our encampment. I'll show you where he rests. He had a medallion in his effects. That's what I'll bring home to Barry. A long time ago, we built an encampment in one of Monarch's cave systems. Trouble is, a Mantiqueen showed up and kicked us all out. If we can find Rebecca and Anders, they'll know how to lure her out. Then, we kill the bitch and bury everyone's medallions together. Thanks, Cap. Good old Stellar Bay. Only place on the planet that don't stink of sulfur. Wanna come? Right. Here's the road. Follow it south. Here we go! Got him! What? We're alive. Big mistake.
were coming real close to eating me. I'm Lenora. What are you doing out here? Not that I'm complaining, but I figure only marauders and animals roam around. Well, shit, today's your lucky day, I guess. Thanks for the help. I've got to pick up some things from the bay, but I run a little stand near Fallbrook. Next time you need supplies, stop by, you hear?
Here we go. Of them. they come!
Thank you!
First one! We made it!
South here. Off the road and down the slope. We've got a decent trek ahead of us. They'll never see us. Solid kill.
Oh, hey there. Thanks again for getting me away from those marauders. You want to buy something?
Fallbrook's on the other side of the bridge there if you need a drink. We're only halfway to the mountain, so might consider stopping in. Look northwest. That ain't it, but marauders sometimes camp inside the buildings there. Steer clear unless you fancy getting shot. Westbound still. I'll let you know when we can start ascending.
Incoming!
Get ready.
Nice hit! Down they go!
I call this Rotting River, on account of all the caves back east are safest. We can head up this path if you want to shoot your way through a few nightmares on your way up.
Here we go!
Nice one. Everyone all right?
I love this mountain. You can see so much from here. So many beasts would need killing, so many drinks would need drinking.
We ought to camp out here tonight, you know? Make a little fire, sing songs.
And here we are. Told you we'd make it in one piece.
Hey, you, General!
No.
You're a marauder!
How the hell did marauders navigate the caverns?
I always wanted to poke through a high-gain wireless. They only got one on Terra 2, you know. Up in Byzantium.
This station's under the protection of the corporate compliance crew. You a marauder? 'Cause me and my sunshine, that's my gun if you were wondering, we don't take kindly to marauders. A coherent enough response, I reckon. Must be true. You're clear, but I would caution you against pressing on ahead. This station's plumb crawling with marauders, you know. Hey, we're here to help. Long as the paperwork's done and the pay's good. Me and Sunshine are doing exactly what we've been tasked with, and that's guarding these big old Devil's Peak horns. There is nothing I'd enjoy more, but the C3s play it by the book. Usually. Go petition the boss man. Maybe you can convince him to alter my duties. You ought to talk to my crew. They're guarding a small barracks to the southeast, by the edge of the mountain. See that path that runs underneath that giant archway? Follow it on down. There's a little station near the cliff. You'll find the rest of my crew there.
Incoming!
Everyone all right? Oh. We're in for it now. Down we go.
On your left, Captain!
Stay away! Everyone all right?
Hiram must have sealed the door. He spooks easy.
You may not realize this being as you're an outsider, but the blaring alarms indicate the station's on lockdown. Which means you can't ever get to me. So leave already.
can't, we'll see about that. But ain't gonna budge while this place is on lockdown. Guess we keep moving forward. Look for another way up.
Watch out! Everyone all right?
You out there, whoever you are, yes, I can see you. Come here and talk to me, face the intercom. I can't tell if you're brave or simply touched in the head. What in the galaxy are you doing sniffing around my station? Unless you are, in fact, trying to suicide by Marauder? And you, Nyoka, what are you doing lugging a stranger into my station?
You could use the socialization, you son of a bitch. Also, she hired me.
To what purpose? I happen to have some significant problems I am dealing with right now. Marauders, running out of purple berry wine 3 days ago, not being able to bloody broadcast. No. We'll deal with information-related business later. As I said, there are bigger problems threatening my life and livelihood at this very moment. The Marauders want me dead. And since my hired hands have clearly turned idle, it appears I need you to clear out the threat. As my newest contractor, you may call me the Broker.
Or we can call you Hiram, on account of that's your damn name, and doubly on the account of the Broker being a dumbass alternative.
What? Everyone calls me that, aside from you. See, Nyoka? I barricaded the broadcast center, but I can only hold out for so long. Clear the Marauders out, and I'll pay you double the going rate. They destroy the transmission equipment, and I'll be out of business. The elevator and doors to the second floor are back online. Hurry before I have to lock them down again. Aside from the bits I'll be paying you, you said you wanted something from me. Something information-related. I'll give it to you, in person, once I'm safe. Too many, considering I hired a bunch of no-good mercs to keep them out in the first place. Already, they've caused considerable damage to the station's property. If they take down the broadcast equipment, I'll be out of a job, permanently. Hey, elevators to your right. Get ready.
Of them, I think.
Marauder free at last. I'll get the door. You hurry on in.
Never thought I'd be ecstatic at having the walls painted in blood, but seeing as it's not mine, I'd say this calls for a celebration. This ought to square our debt. One hefty payment for a highly valued service rendered. But I admit, I do wonder why Nyoka has brought you to me. Allow me to pose my question in another manner. Why, in the nebula, are you here? Ah yes, our little chat on the intercom. You're looking for the premier broker for all of Monarch, which you knew was me, clearly. Phineas must have sent you. He's the only one insane enough to send someone to Monarch to rush me. I knew it was only a matter of time before he came a-knocking. Look, I might be late, but I fulfill my contracts, always.
Oh, you do you? I have lost track of the number of beers you owe me for chasing raptidons off your stoop.
Are you fibbing? Be honest.
I take offense to that. Look, okay. It might take me a while this time. Caring or not won't change the facts of the matter. I am awaiting but a single incoming transmission containing the information we desire. But MSI and the Iconoclasts are clogging the airwaves from Stellar Bay and Amber Heights. In their war against each other, they're scrambling each other's outgoing transmissions. The bandwidth! There's too much blasted background noise. Nothing gets through but their local broadcasts. Which of course has inadvertently affected the incoming port and my livelihood. My former partner, Sanjar, transmits from his office in MSI's headquarters in the center of town. Don't let him try to fool you. While his messages might seem like gibberish, they are in reality coded business orders to off-world companies. I understand why he needs the bandwidth, but we had a deal and he's broadcasting ceaselessly. No, they're jamming the limited frequencies we have at our disposal. Nothing extraplanetary can get in or out until the frequency pollution thins out. The safest bet is to convince Graham and Sanjar to stop transmitting on their end. You do that, I'll be here, waiting on the receiving end. Luck be with you. I have a feeling you'll be needing a pinch of it, plus a vat of patience. Is that a trick question? Because to answer it, you'd need to pay me. Of course, I could offer you a vastly more interesting bit of data instead. Try me. Ask me anything you'd like. I'll even offer it for free. We'll call it an exchange for your help with the broadcasts. Ask me what you will. There are so many members. Do specify. If you try to cite me on this, I will deny. Do you understand? What I am about to reveal is the sort of information that gets a body disappeared. MSI's ownership of Monarch is technically legal, but it would give MSI too much power on the board to grant them such status. That the chairman is politically motivated to keep Monarch from being re-recognized as a legal part of the colony, and his actions as a result are highly illegal. And that is all you will get from me regarding such a deadly piece of data. Luckily for you, I am a veritable font of information. They are a curious lot. Insufferable. And short-sighted, too. What else do you wish to know? You mean between MSI, the Iconoclasts, and myself? I bet neither of those megalomaniacs told you I was the true mastermind behind Monarch. Back when the colony was still Terra 1 and corporations were abandoning us left and right, I'm the one who approached Sanjar and Graham with the means to our salvation. I offered them a legal way to take control of the planet. If MSI were the only corporation here, they could claim sole ownership. Precisely. The other corporations were fleeing because of the hazard clause declaring Terra 1 uninhabitable. But MSI had lagged behind, giving Sanjar and Graham an opportunity. Take over MSI, stay here while the other corps left, take over the planet. Precisely. Without me, they never would have done more than play Revolution in hushed whispers over scuzzy kale ales in the tavern. Thus, the bargain was struck. They could run MSI while I would operate Devil's Peak Station. Unfortunately, relations have soured over time. Competing ideologies. Graham believes Sanjar has become corrupted by the corporate lifestyle, that he is now similar to the original corporate executives they sought to reform. And Sanjar has learned the hard way that Graham is quite morally gray. Some say Graham suffers from nightmares that leave him sweat-drenched and screaming. I would assume it stems from the friends and family he lost in Amber Heights all those years ago. Sanjar is not actually at fault for his past performance reviews, but he can keep hunting for loopholes to get back on the board for the next century. He'll never be reinstated. Not in his lifetime. For Nebula's sake, even with the loophole I gave him, he's only in charge of MSI because every other exec died during the massacre at Amber Heights. Indeed, the information I gather usually is, or it's not worth my time investment, as you can imagine. Luckily for you, I am a veritable font of information. Not much, admittedly. Phineas has been in hiding for the past 35 years. He got in touch with Nyoka first, who I use as a physical go-between. The rest is history. As far as what's between us, I mean. Outside of that, well, that's a Raptidon of another color. I do know this much. There is a sharper side to the good scientist than you'd expect. If allegations are to be believed, the experiments he conducts for the greater good are in fact treasonous and for self-gain. I am not convinced as to the validity of these allegations, considering the source, but I am also not unconvinced either. Luckily for you, I am a veritable font of information. What? No. Why would I go out of my way to intercept messages from Earth? There's no market for them. No buyer means it's not worth my time. Now, if you wanted me to intercept a certain one, that might be worth it for the right price. How low you seemingly regard my trade. I may have a secret for you, for the right exchange. How low you seemingly regard my trade. Nyoka, pick me up some Stimulotion and a bottle of purple berry wine when you're next in Stellar Bay.
Wonder if Hiram's home. Just kidding. Guy never sets foot outside.
I wonder how they punch a signal through the gas giant's magnetic field. Can't be easy.
Rats. Let's clear this sulfur-sodden fucks out so Hayes can rest in peace.
Here we go! Got it!
Hayes was the best self-sacrificing son of a saint I ever met. Halcyon is worse off without him. Now, if we're gonna lure the Manta Queen out, we'll need to find Rebecca and Anders. They took a UDL contract on Terra 2. We never heard from them again. Think it's time I call in a favor with Hiram. If anyone can track them down, it's him. I don't know much about it. It paid well, so they took it. They said they'd be back in a couple of weeks, and that maybe we could all use the money to get off Monarch. That was a long time ago. I should have. I really should have. But soon after they left, Hayes and the others died. And to be honest, after him, I stopped trying, because it hurt like hell to do so. I'll admit there's a certain truth to that, but every once in a while, when I realize I've lost track of the number of bottles I've hucked at a tree, I get to wondering. Maybe one night I'll reach for a bottle and find my sidearm instead, and it'll be just as comforting. The thought sobers me right up, and I don't want to be thinking it anymore. Now come on, let's make tracks before Hiram dies of old age.
It's the strangest thing. I still can't receive any incoming off-world communications. Architect, have mercy. I should have known you were a shark. Phineas only works with the most ruthless and resourceful of captains. Wait, don't hurt me. That was an intended compliment, I swear. Here, take this if it will incentivize you to work faster. Oh, great. I love doing pro bono work for friends.
Aw, you called us friends. I'd normally entertain your self-aggrandizing delusions, but this time it's important.
Important to you is not the same as important to me. Although I do recognize that you may have earned some goodwill during your months laboring for me. Tug on my heartstrings, why don't you? Look, I'll do what I can, all right?
Rebecca Hodges and Anders Wadsworth. They took a UDL contract back when Monarch went to shit, and I need to find them. I believe them to be on Terra too.
If UDL hired 2 hunters back then, it would have been for creature clearing purposes, round 1 of their Spacer's Choice outposts. These are the coordinates for the outpost under the last UDL contract. Now scram. And, good luck. Be a doll and shoot any marauders you spot on the way down.
Well, new business turns up at last. Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit?
That you did, sir.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
You've often posed these very questions.
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me. Celia, will you make a note of that for my self-review? Very generous.
Noted.
But not so generous I can't drive a good bargain. Now, Who sent you? Rizzo's, perhaps? Or Auntie Cleo herself? What a charming notion. One doesn't meet many free spirits in Halcyon. Not outside Tartarus prison, anyway. Forgive me, I'd be positively enraptured. Only, I take it this means you aren't here for Saltuna. Oh, a shame. I'd been saving a bottle of iceberg-aged whiskey for an occasion like this.
Seems like you're having a rough time, Mr. Sanjar. Are you doing quite all right?
Oh, don't worry on my account. This is merely the latest in a long line of professional erotic and athletic disappointments. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board. Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now.
So-called is right. We've got our hazards, but we're still here, damn it. The board took off without so much as a thought for the folks left behind.
Dang it, Captain, that's not right. Folks on Monarch shouldn't have to suffer just because the board says so.
Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious. Yes, freedom is a tempting ideal, but a rather costly paramour.
Well, Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
On our terms, mind you.
But will that help the people here, Mr. Sanjar? Keep them fed and safe?
That's precisely what I'm trying to do.
And if our advertising scheme hasn't borne fruit, then perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
It's true, our Celia is an alarmingly competent middle manager. At any other company, she'd be wasted in data entry. The plan she refers to is a two-pronged approach, and the first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended.
And a Mantisaur problem, and a Marauder problem.
Many, many problems, but they can all be solved with a Bolt 52 cartridge. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in Halcyon.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordnance. I'll need to gather some supplemental materials, but I mustn't get ahead of myself.
You do tend to do that.
The Bolt 52 will be in the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. And these days, it's overrun with marauders and raptidons. So taciturn, so dour. I'll be waiting with bated breath. Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. What can I do for you? You think we're the problem? Have you even heard the nonsense Graham is spewing? It isn't easy keeping a town like Stellar Bay afloat, especially without the board's backing. We need that frequency to reach our trading partners. Indeed. That's why it's imperative that MSI be reinstated onto the board. And the first step is getting the Bolt 52. Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes. I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws. Not intentionally, though that's technically true. For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2. But back then, it was known as Terra 1. Really? I always thought they were refreshingly straightforward names. After all, the whole point of terraforming was to make them Earth-like.
Here, though, the results were mixed.
That ain't fair. They didn't leave on account of the hazards. They left on account of their cowardice. The hazards just gave them a reason to put to paper.
Sharp as ever, Nyoka. And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out. Our leadership at the time certainly wanted to, but there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up. Ah, so you've heard about our prior acquaintance. As far as I'm concerned, the less said about Graham, the better. Graham seemed like a reasonable man years ago. We both agreed that MSI's treatment of its workers was untenable. I thought reforms would be enough. I didn't realize you wanted to abolish the corporate system entirely. Reforms are humane, but they're also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out.
I hope you'd treat them nice, whether it was good business or not, Mr. Sanjar. That's what being a community means. Treating people right, because it's the right thing to do.
Here, here. That may not be the way the colony works, but it damn well oughta.
A noble thought, Miss Holcomb. Unfortunately, noble thoughts rarely sway board policy. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms. No, they laughed in our faces and insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2, along with everyone else. Yes, some of us stayed behind, and as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI. I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages. I don't think I realized how far they'd stoop. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws. I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently. Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon.
Yeah, that'd go a long way toward rebuilding our homes.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community, and being cut off means slow strangulation. I'm not a man to put pride before progress. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then that's the path I mean to pursue. Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship. I've discovered it's much easier to negotiate from a position of power. And I don't mean to leave MSI or its people at a disadvantage. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations. Well, technically, he may have suggested it, but he certainly wasn't doing the paperwork himself. Technically, he does. What exactly are you accusing me of? Until we're back on the board, I need to run those advertisements. If there's no business on Monarch, then we all starve. Hiram included. Besides, Graham's the one you should really be concerned about. His propaganda does nothing but crowd the frequency.
Straight bullshit is what it is. A fabrication rich folks use to preserve their investments, by leaving a lot of people here to die slow.
Nyoka has the right of it. It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off any planet or location that it deems dangerous.
But wait, what happens to the folks stuck on the wrong side of dangerous?
I'm afraid the welfare of a few hundred people is too minor a figure into the board's risk assessments. Monarch may be dangerous, but it's hardly the wasteland the board describes it to be. Whatever the board's goals, the greater good has little part in them. What can I do for you?
Greetings, and welcome to Monarch Stellar Industries, producers and purveyors of the finest salt tuna in Halcyon. What can I do for you today? Oh, in that case, welcome to MSI headquarters. Mr. Nandi runs things for Stellar Bay from here. Apart from that, we've got a bar, a diner, and a really great animal parts vendor. Raptidon acid some days. Other times it's canid teeth. Whatever Sebastian has in stock, really. So I can talk to him, of course. He doesn't get going about much else.
I reckon she's got a little bit of a squish on this fella.
He's sort of the strong, silent type. Unfortunately, my apartment's kind of filling up with his stuff. And some of the neighbors are complaining about the smell. Would you? I'd appreciate that so much. Maybe don't tell him I wanted you to ask. Just that you met this really nice lady named Celia, and she seemed... Oh, Mr. Nandi's doing that thing where he breathes through his nose real slowly. I'd better get back to work. He doesn't talk much, but he's got this quiet intensity, you know? Like there's stuff going on inside his head that you have no idea about. Plus, he's got great legs. It's hard to find a man who doesn't skimp on lower body exercises. You think that's what I'm looking for? You're funny. Not in Stellar Bay. Everyone else who isn't taken either smells like salt tuna or they're my boss. Besides, a man with a good smile and a proportionate upper to lower body ratio isn't something to pass up. Sorry, sometimes I get carried away.
Hello, stranger. Can I interest you in Raptidon tongue? Or maybe some canid toenails? You look like a woman who's looking for some mostly fresh animal parts.
Sebastian, you ever get your hands on those pheromone sacs? Manipillars ain't gonna hunt themselves, you know.
I must have hunted a dozen, but I couldn't find a single sack on any of them. Must be looking in the wrong place.
Manipillars ain't got pheromone sacs. I just told him that so he'd stop asking me for advice.
At least I'm getting a good haul of claws in the process. You're in good hands, traveling with Monarch's top merc. Still, if you want any rat glands or manticlaws, I've got you covered. Huh. I haven't seen her in a few days, but I've been meaning to ask her how that Raptidon acid is working out. I hope it's working okay, because no one else really seems interested in this stuff. Wait, I see what's going on. She put you up to this so she could get a discount, hmm?
Oh, no, that's not it at all. She's smitten with you. You smited her. Smoked? Smoot?
Don't get me wrong. I'd like to give her a discount. She's a real fine lady. Always talks nice and slow, so I understand. But if I give her one, I won't hardly make a bit, on account of no one else having any use for Raptidon tongues. You sound pretty sure. And she is awful nice.
Give her a chance. Give yourself a chance. Take her someplace nice.
Okay, I'll do it. Once her shift ends, we'll go someplace nice. Maybe to Chef Raymond's.
That's the spirit, Sebastian. Be yourself. Between you and me, Captain, I'm not sure Miss Celia knows him too well. But we can hope, right? I want them to be happy.
Have you talked to Sebastian yet? What did he say? Okay, but how did he say it? Did he sound excited? Or like he was just agreeing to it? Was he like, yay, a date with Celia? I've secretly been waiting for this. Or was it more, sure, I don't have anything else going on? Oh, I will. Now I've just got to figure out which jumpsuit I'm wearing and how I'm fixing my hair, or maybe I should go with a casual look? Ah, look at me going on. I'm sure you've got other things to do, and Mr. Nandi's giving me that back-to-work look. Anyhow, thank you.
Help! Someone's been killed!